The case against the crime intelligence boss, the SAPS Crime Intelligence boss, Dumisani Khumalo, now postponed for 3 weeks to allow the state to appeal a decision by the acting chief magistrate, Vusi Mahlangu, to recuse himself. Mahlangu recused himself yesterday, citing allegations made against the judiciary, including himself, at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Khumalo was back in the Pretoria Magistrates Court today to ask for his bail conditions to be relaxed after an internal investigation cleared him of wrongdoing. Khumalo and several senior officials were arrested in June over the alleged irregular appointment of a senior officer in crime intelligence. Well, one of the allegations, of course, and one of the developments today is that the NPA's investigating directorate against corruption says the magistrate should not have recused himself, as the claims at the Madlanga Commission have no bearing on the matter before court. Eldred de Klerk is at the Africa Centre for Security and Intelligence Praxis. He's a principal associate there. Eldred, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Stephen.
I don't know if someone somewhere is trying to make our heads spin. It's almost farcical. We have a magistrate hearing a case involving a person accused of wrongdoing. The magistrate says they want to recuse themselves because they themselves are implicated. Now the NPA says, no, you aren't implicated, you must stay on, and now there's a whole new court thing. It seems frankly absurd.
And it is. We do live in interesting times. And Stephen, normally it is the accused who takes issue with the magistrate because they have a history or they think the magistrate is compromised, and they ask the magistrate to recuse themselves. Where the magistrate, him or herself, decides to do that, you would hope that they consult first with the NPA or with the chief magistrate or with the chief justice and say, this is how I feel, this is what I think is happening, and take counsel before they take that step. That, for me, would have been the process to follow, because now we have somebody who we might see being forced to hear a case where they themselves feel uncomfortable and feel that in their judgment could be taken on review because there is allegations against them.
I have to wonder, and we haven't yet heard the full case from the NPA and IDAC, so we do need to sort of suspend our judgment, but I have to wonder about their wisdom in this, because if this magistrate has decided to recuse themselves and feel they can't hear it, just that decision, no matter what happens next, means they're probably not the right person to hear it. This is not rocket science.
Absolutely, and even if they are the right or is the right person to hear that, they themselves says, I don't want to put myself professionally or personally in that position. That should be respected. So even before IDAC or the NPA makes a public statement, they should have consulted with the magistrate, take guidance from the magistrate, and jointly release a statement rather than oppose his decision to recuse himself.
Yesterday in Parliament, Eldred, if I can take you back, and obviously they're two separate inquiries, but the ad hoc committee in Parliament, we had the suspended National Deputy Police Commissioner, Shadrack Sibiya, claiming he was clean and that the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, who sort of started all of this, was wrong to implicate him. And we're kind of in a cop versus cop situation. And I do wonder if we've just got to a point, and maybe it's just me, but that all of the people involved, for whatever reason, should be removed from the police service temporarily until all of this is sorted out?
Well, I'm not sure if it's temporarily. There has been efforts before to look to flatten the police hierarchical structure, not only to release funds, but also to ensure that there's better decision-making and accountability. One of the crusaders for this, to his credit, was the then Minister of Police, Fikile Mbalula. He didn't last long because he dared to say that we should be removing a number of generals and brigadiers. There's also been moves to address this issue within the South African Police Service, both the culture of the institution itself, but also the character and the timber of the people who actually leads the institution. Remember, Stephen, you and I have spoken about this before. We have recommendations from the National Development Plan 2030. We have recommendations from the Panel of Experts report, and the police themselves have undertaken to provide us with results of a competency or skills audit. integrity audit and lifestyle audits of all the senior management and senior leadership of the police. We haven't seen that. We haven't undertaken that it's happened, but we haven't seen that. So there's been concerns about not just the nature of relationships between the senior leadership of the police, both at a national and provincial level, but the institution itself and how it's been impacted by what is being called the factionalism or the infighting. And we hope that the ad hoc committee and the Mahlangu Commission takes this idea that it's not just about the character and timber of individuals, but it's about the institution and how the institutional culture is feeding the ability of individuals to actually behave in the way they behave.
Eldred, the longer these two separate inquiries that are happening in public, and so we've got the Mahlangu Commission and we've got the parliamentary ad hoc inquiry, there is still, as I understand it, a parliamentary inquiry by the Intelligence Committee to come, but that, I think, will be held behind closed doors. But the longer they go on, we have claim versus claim, officer versus officer. Some of the witnesses in the Mahlangu inquiry are having their witnesses protected, so I, as Stephen Grootes, don't know who they are, and that makes it hard for me to know if I can trust what they're saying. I know the Commission evidence leaders, that's sort of their job. But aren't we creating a situation where ordinary people, I include myself in this, just actually don't know who to trust anymore? And I do wonder if that's the whole point of this. It makes it so impossible to know that we're actually in a situation where once these commissions are finished, they might have contradictory findings and the President will not be able to do anything with it.
Absolutely, Stephen. And I was listening to the Newzroom Afrika interview with the former Major General Very earlier this morning. And he made the point, which I completely support, that it's not really about, at this stage, about the truth of issues, because we may not get to the truth. What we need to understand is what is plausible and what is likely to have gone on, and take that as the starting point for correcting what's going on. Stephen, in previous conversations, I also made the point with you that we don't take ourselves seriously. We actually have a raft of recommendations that we can already start putting in place immediately to start to address this very situation. We have the appeal and recommendation for a national policing board that will set policing standards, that will look at issues of recruitment and selection, and it will set down a code of ethics. We have in that same raft of recommendations, we have this, we have the recommendation for a two-stream system, because what we have is and the ad hoc committee was at pains to understand the nature of the hierarchical relationship between a major general, lieutenant general, a divisional commissioner, a provincial commissioner, a national commissioner. What we have there often is a conflation or a confusion and the problem between rank and role. They need to understand the respective roles and ranks and this respective authority that goes together with the particular role rather than the particular rank. So, Stephen, to address your question formally, if we review the tapes of previous years and over time, if we take ourselves seriously, and I say that again, let's get on with the business of what do we understand already. Let's not get to where we think the truth is going to lead us. What we do know is that public trust in these vital institutions have been eroded. We do know that we're sitting with senior leadership that across the board is going to continue to lobby accusations and recriminations and counter-recriminations, and that we need to consider and ask them, do you still want to be part of this institution? If you do, will you subject yourself to the following audits? And can we place you in a position where you will better serve the institution and reward and remunerate you accordingly? We already know that we can start that today if there's the political will to do so.
Political will, Eldred. Let's not even start. Eldred de Klerk, thanks very much. Really do appreciate the time.
It's my pleasure, Stephen.
Principal Associate at the Africa Centre for Security and Intelligence Practices. A lot more news to come.